Now that we've started to render, I wanted to quickly talk about an important concept for 3D animation, and that is alpha channels. Normally when you render out something in the render view, you're looking at the RGB. That's red, green, and blue channels combined to give you other colors. For example, this chair is currently assigned to a material that's somewhat cyan. In order to look at that in the render view, you have to display the red, green, and blue channels. And in fact, any computer monitor is going to be based on red, green, and blue. Equal amounts of red, green, and blue will give you white. The lack of red, green, and blue will give you black. And other variations or other combinations of those three colors give you all the other colors. So the cyan is a combination of red, green, and blue. And that's just how all computer images work. So you have the red, green, and blue channels by default, and that's what you look at when you do a render. However, there's also an alpha channel. And the alpha channel is a special fourth channel that records transparency. Often it's important to know what's transparent and what's opaque when you render an image out of Maya or another 3D program, because what you have to do is take that image and bring it into some other program, such as a compositing program. And that program really needs to know what's empty space, and therefore what's transparent, and what's really an object, and what's therefore opaque. So you can actually look at the alpha channel anytime you want to inside of Maya. In fact, you can do that right to the render view. If you go up to the alpha button, which is this gray circle right here, and click that, you'll look at the alpha. Often the alpha is just white or black or has a few shades of gray. And what that means is, if you look at the alpha channel, whatever is white is opaque. Whatever is black is transparent. So therefore, all the empty space around this chair is 100% transparent. And in fact, if you go back to the view panels and look at the chair, indeed, there's nothing around the chair. The grid's there, but it doesn't actually render. That's just for reference. Everything else outside the chair in this situation is simply empty space. If I go back to the render view, empty space in terms of the alpha channel is black. Black is interpreted by other programs, such as the compositing program, as transparent. If I go back to the RGB view, I can do that through this red, green, and blue button here. There's the RGB. Now, the empty space is still black. That's just RGB. You can see that my chair is bluish right now. So the alpha channel is simply a grayscale render, which shows transparency. I'll go back to it one more time. Again, a grayscale render that represents transparency. White is opaque, black is transparent. Now, if you do have some shades of gray in the alpha channel, that means semi-transparency. So for instance, if you had smoked glass and you set up a texture for that, you might have an alpha which is gray to represent semi-transparency, but then you still have empty space as black. So I'll go back to the RGB one more time. So alpha is always carried by the render view. Now if you want to render out alpha and have it stored in image format as you render the disk, there's a special way you have to choose the alpha, and then you have to choose a special image format that can save the alpha channel in the file format. But we're going to talk about that in terms of batch rendering and talk about image formats in a later video.